after it goes live. The Hello.
Good
Hi,
evening,
guys.
everybody. Good evening. There's one person in the chat that was 2 minutes ago, and I'm guessing that is probably.
Well, one of
we
them
know
is
that
me
is.
because I'm sharing out. So
We know that. No, you share out. That's fine, and we'll just chat. I'll just see how you guys went last week. You had a good week, guys.
Yeah, cool.
oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Super good. Super good.
Good. Like to hear it. You,
We're
Eric?
still here.
Oh yeah, I had a really good week.
Still here. Yeah, still here.
My
Still
car
kicking.
being in
So
bed.
we've got 2 people in. So hello, those 2 people, whoever you are. If you could just put a hi in the column in the chat, and then we'll know that hi, you're Rita. I knew it was you, Rita.
Rita.
You're an old
Rita, you're there.
She's an old soldier. She's one of our old soldiers, isn't she? She's a faithful, as they say.
Where's Rita? Where are you from, Rita?
She's a back room with Eric.
Yeah, she's my wife.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yes. There you go, Rita. Yes, there you go. Bless you, Rita. How are you, Rita? You okay? Hope everything's going good for you. We got 4 in now. Excellent. Hey up, Bri. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Hey,
Hope
boy.
you're doing well, buddy. Good to see you in the chat again, Bri. Right, well, we got 4, which is a damn sight better than we started off with last week at this point. I think it took a few minutes to get into it. Good, Rita. Glad to hear it. So this week we're going to be talking about, it's a little story. It's an amazing little story, actually, quite quaint and quite sweet. And it comes from Yorkshire. Actually comes from really near where Bri is. And it comes from a place called Cottingley. And it involves 2 young girls. And one is Frances, and the other is, I'm trying to think of her name now.
Elsie.
Frances and Elsie. Thank you, Tim. Frances and Elsie.
Yeah.
And we're going back now to sort of between 1917 to 1920. This is when this story unfolded. And it was the fairies of Cottingley. And it was about 2 young girls, those 2 young girls. One was 10 and the other was 13 at the time. And they were cousins, first cousins. And Elsie had come back from India with her mother. And she ended up living with her older cousin and the 2 mothers. The mothers were sisters. So that's the connection there. And they lived in a tiny little cottage in this beautiful village of Cottingley. And right down the back, there was what they call a beck. Now, apparently that's an old Yorkshire word that means river or stream. I didn't know that. Brian will probably to tell me if that's true. That's what I read, and that's what I was told. And right at the back of the stream, the younger one, had interactions with what she said were fairies. And the older one, being 13, was at work at the time. And she used to work in a photographer's, producing slides and stuff like that. And what happened was the younger one used to go down to the brook or down to the beck, and she, being a young child, she would come in continually and she'd be absolutely soaking wet. And her father would become annoyed, and he would say to her, "You keep falling in that beck. What's happening? What's going on? What's happening?" And she said, "Well, it's the fairies. It's the fairies push me in." You know what children are like? They'll make any excuse just to cover their back. And he said, "Right, okay, if there's fairies down there, I want you to take this camera," guess he was calling her bluff, "and I want you to set it up and take some photos of these so-called fairies that you've been pushing you in the beck." So she came back with her cousin, and they'd taken, first of all, 2 photos which showed these fairies, and then they'd taken a further 2. But if you look at these fairies that they've got, you can clearly see they're like cardboard cutouts. How they didn't really realise it at the time, I don't know, because they really looked animated. But anyway, they believed it, and the father then sent a couple of pictures to a friend of his that lived abroad, and then by way of this person who lives abroad, they'd done the rounds, and they ended up with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, as you know, the very illustrious writer of Sherlock Holmes. amongst other things, and a very intelligent man. Now, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was heavily into the occult, and he was heavily into particularly talking to the dead and spiritualism, which was rife at that time because the First World War, lots of people were losing lots of members of the family. They wanted some security, they wanted some comfort, so they seeked out a lot of these mediums in the hope that they could give them verification that their family was still alive. And this is exactly what happened with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He'd lost his son in 1917. I think it was on the Battle of the Somme. And he lost his son, and he looked for verification where his son would be after death. He wanted that comfort. And so he would throw himself into anything that was esoteric. And of course, these pictures came up and he got wind of them. And then he felt that he would go to investigate with a friend of his. So they went to investigate them. They took the photos away. They got them analysed by a photographer who turned around and said at a laboratory, these are genuine photos. He didn't say they were genuine theories, which is where people fall over or fall down. He said, these are genuine photos. And if you look at them, there's a blur on the theories, which shows that there's movement. Well, you know what? The time of cameras years ago of taking photos between putting the slides in and taking the photos, it took an age to get that. You had to be dead still while it took the photo. And of course, wind. Later on, they decided that wind had caused that blurring. So it wasn't the movement of fairies through their own actions. It was the movement because of the wind. So anyway, he then went to the girls. The girls carried on with the facade. They said, no, we've taken these photos. They're real photos. Then they took a fifth one. Fifth one is the one that, to be honest, blows the case wide open. And I fully believe it. Now, years and years later, once Arthur Conan Doyle had passed away, one of the girls came out, I think it was Elsie, and she said, yeah, it was the younger one, Elsie. She said, yeah, the photos were faked. What we did, we got pictures of fairies that we cut out, and we got like 12-inch hat pins, which obviously during the Edwardian period were lots of them around, stuck behind the fairies and just sort of, we positioned them and placed them. And then we had photos taken with them. And it was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. And then they questioned her. They said, that was 4 of them. The 5th one, she said, is a genuine photo of fairies. Now, if you look at the 5th one, I don't think she's lying about that. I think she's telling the truth, because why would she lie about that? There's no absolute reason. She's going to come forward and she's going to give up the ghost, so to speak, on the first 4 photos, and she's going to be honest. Why would she lie about the 5th? And the 5th looks totally different. If you look at the 5th, you see these little faces, these little fairies, and they're almost, well, they are see-through. They're sort of gossamer looking. And she said that, this was the real deal. There were fairies there. And they had to fabricate the pictures because she wanted her father to believe them. So kind of, there were fairies there. The first 4 photos were faked, but the 5th one was the real deal. And it goes on to this day. There's still people umming and ahhing. I think that she was telling the truth. I don't see any reason for it. They were both genuine, lovely girls. People said they weren't known to lie. People, neighbours and friends said they weren't known to lie. Their family said they weren't known they weren't liars. And I think that she was telling the truth. And that's where we throw the story open to everybody else to see what everybody else's opinions are.
I'm trying to look to see if I can
Thanks,
find
Roy.
a picture.
Yeah, there's no pop-ups on screen this week.
No,
Yeah,
there
I
aren't.
can do it.
So we got hiya Nettie.
Hi.
Brian, Nettie. Hiya Lorna. Hope you're doing well. Hope
Lauren.
everybody's doing well in the chat. And that's where the story is. So it's quite a unique story, Tim, isn't it?
It's I'd heard of it, and I'd started researching it this week, and I was just blown away with it. And you can imagine back in 1917, World War One was still thrashing out over there.
Yeah.
And I think these girls the reason it took off and everyone was excited about it was a break, wasn't it, from turmoil and war and destruction, and they didn't mean no harm. And
No.
I think it really was. They did hoax some of the photographs, as you said, they were clearly cut out. But when Arthur Conan Doyle got involved, and Houdini was actually involved a little bit.
Houdini was. I think that was the point where he fell out with Arthur Conan Doyle. He was a really good friend of his up until that point.
Yeah, Houdini, being a magician, tried to debunk everything, didn't he?
He did. He did. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Whereas Arthur Conan Doyle, he was a spiritualist, and he believed, and they had a bit of a banter, and they fell out.
Yeah.
They
were
did
really
fall
close
out,
up to
and
that point, weren't they? And it was a shame that they fell out over something that they should have just agreed to have differences of opinion on.
that's where it all goes wrong in the paranormal world.
It is. It's just a case of, people got difference of opinion. That's fine.
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
knows really. So
no,
people argue over something that at the end of the day have got no consequence because our ideas are built on sand. We don't know. We're just guessing.
No.
Aren't we?
I have.
Oh.
Right. Okay. So there you go. So I think you can see the first. Where are we, Brian? Well done.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first one. Now that was the gnome. That was the gnome that she said came up, and when she put her hand towards it, he didn't really touch her. But clearly, that's a cardboard cutout. I mean, you can see.
Yeah.
That's
But look at the
cardboard
shape of
cutout.
her hand, though. It looks really odd.
It does, but it does look kind of. It looks kind of one-dimensional. It looks flat and it looks. But then when you get to I don't think you can get the fifth one up.
I don't
Eric?
know.
See, that was another one that they'd set up. You can see there how that was done.
That
Posed.
one.
Another one that was set up. Another one that was set up. Pretty kids, aren't they? Pretty girls.
Oh, there's a different version of the first one.
That's just yeah. Again,
Yeah,
that was
it was like this
coloured that
different
in. Yeah,
version.
actually, two of those photos, the first two of those photos, have just gone for £20,000,
Really?
or they did for the
Wow.
last few years.
What that was.
Have you got the fifth one there at all, Eric?
I have no idea if I do or
No,
not.
it's not there.
No, you can Google it. You'll find it, and they are transparent, and you can see it's totally different. And they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to do a transparent one.
No,
Back then.
absolutely not. I mean, I don't think the technology wasn't there at the time, was it?
No,
Like, there's nobody. I mean, the technology.
they
wasn't there for
barely
any
got a
form of
decent
faking.
camera.
Yeah, exactly. But it was amazing. It was just, phenomenal, really. And I think you're right. It was 1917. The guns were still blazing on the continent. Men were dying literally in their hundreds of thousands. And people were making a connection with, you know what? If these are real, then there's no reason that life after death can't be real. And they were connecting the two, I think, which is what you would do, isn't it?
Yeah,
But it's a very, I mean, it enamored me so much that I want to actually take I know you can't get to the back of the property with the Beckys, but I would like to take a drive up there just to see the village and to see the house.
yeah.
Nice.
It's just outside of
It's Bradford, it's the main town, Bradford.
Just
Yeah.
outside of Bradford. So I would
Yeah,
like to go there just to see the house and the street.
I did see a video today. I watched a video today, and I can't remember the name of the channel now, but he went up there with his little daughter, and there was only one spot where they could get down to the beck that they call it. The rest, it's all fenced off now, and it's all built around now.
Well, I bet it's
It's
totally
all
different.
built over, apart from the stream,
Totally
which
different.
is a shame.
I saw some up-to-date photos, and it kind of still looks sort of very fairy-esque. The brook
Yeah.
itself, the trees, it's very
Yeah,
sort of fairyland,
Yeah,
So-
we'd call it a brook down here, wouldn't we? But they call
yeah.
it a beck, up
Yeah.
there
So
in
Bryce
Yorkshire.
says, which actually is interesting considering what happened to your Emma. Bryce said, begs the question that they're visible to innocence, because earlier Bryce said that his sister swears that she's seen fairies as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's highly probable.
Yeah, Emma's seen fairy. Emma,
Emma saw it.
as I've told you, yeah.
And you saw what you felt was like, it was just like a light, wasn't it, or something?
It was an orb, a proper orb, not a bit of dust in a bit of film. I saw it with my naked eyes, a bright orb. Yeah, so showing up different to what Emma saw.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. And Brian's the same. It's like, is it the innocence of the child that allows them to see that? Did they know that children pose no harm to them? Whereas
Yeah.
adults, they can't be too careful with, I guess. But
Who could blame them, eh?
no, you can't
Mm.
blame them, can you? Really?
No,
We've not been the best species, have we? Really, on this planet?
God, no,
Not
no,
by a long chalk.
no.
You.
There's a mirror. There's a mirror? Is it in Scotland where there's a mirror, and you look into the mirror and it says the most dangerous animal in the world?
Yeah, these zoos used to have it as well, didn't they? Look at the most
Yeah,
destructive,
where you look
dangerous
into
animal in
it.
the world.
Yeah,
Did you get that fifth? Oh, you got the
I
Bradford
got the
map.
map of Bradford, but unless you
yeah. It's
go
Bradford.
way in,
It's Bradford area. Yeah, yeah.
I'm definitely going to take a journey up there. I'm desperately
Oh,
going to
I'd
see
like
that
to go and
place.
have a look. Yeah,
I'll
I'd
give you a
like to go
shout.
and have a look.
I'll give you a shout. We'll go up there.
Definitely. Yeah.
It looks very interesting.
it's cool.
But yeah, so
Mm.
what do you think of it, Eric?
Oh, I love that. It's really awesome thing.
Do you think?
Yeah,
What do you
well,
think? Do you think?
You gotta think though, if you go into fairies. Oh, I believe fairies exist because I've seen shows that actually show them. So
Yeah.
like documentaries and stuff like that. But if that exists, then you gotta believe that everything else exists. You know?
Yeah. It's like I was saying about things like ghosts. I mean, we know that houses have got things like brownies and stuff like that in them, which are members of the Fae. And you think to yourself, you know what? That it seems like a lot of this poltergeist activity that people experience as well also seems very Fae-like. Getting peed off because you've not done something, or you've not, so smash your house up, or people have even said they've had ghosts clean the house up. Very Fae-like, and a lot of the what's considered to be paranormal or ghost activity is very, very similar to a lot of the activity that the Fae would produce, or they behave the same way.
Mhm.
We will let you know, Bri. Definitely, we'll let you know. Definite, Bri.
Cool.
It'll happen soon because I'm desperate to get there. I really want to go there.
Well, how far is it away from you, Dan?
About 3 hours or so. Not that
Oh.
bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
Compared to where you drive, Eric, over there, we're
Yeah.
tiny. We're tiny.
Yeah.
Well, it's about 800 or 900 miles from tip to toe, isn't it? From head
Yeah,
to
you
toe.
can get from one end of the country to the other in a
Yeah.
day, can't you?
Yeah.
The next
Yeah.
time
so
over is
soot
4
sprites.
hours.
Yeah. We call it, soot sprites. Yeah, see, it's amazing, isn't it? Irrespective of cultures, it's like the little girl who came back, Elsie. When she came back, she said that she sent a letter to her friend, and she said, "I never saw them when I was in India." She said, "But then
South Africa.
or South Africa."
Sorry, Dad. South Africa it was.
South
Yeah.
Africa. You're right. So I never saw them when I was in South Africa because it was too hot out there, I suspect. But obviously,
Yeah.
being a
Yeah. She
child,
wrote a letter to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few. There was a few letters that were going back and forth between friends and stuff, and it was just a case of, "Oh, how are you? Oh, boy, by the way, I've been playing with fairies." It was just kind of nonchalant, wasn't it? Like it was like a matter of fact that it was, and that's the way a kid would deal with it, wouldn't they? Because I guess they consider or assume, well, that's the norm. That's normal, isn't it? That's what happens, isn't it?
It's just, and how it all kicked. They didn't mean no harm when they started it all off, and then when sort of Arthur Conan Doyle come in, I bet they thought, "Oh my God, we can't say nothing now," and they just carried it on, didn't they? Because
that's exactly what they thought, isn't it? And I think I respect them from the point of view that they kept it, because had they come out whilst he was still alive, for a man who, written things like Sherlock Holmes and all the scientific background and that he put into it, and his own scientific background, it would have made a fool. Well, he would have felt it would have made a fool of him or belittled him.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing that the fifth photo, I believe, fully is real.
I do. Well, she said that, didn't she, on a deathbed?
She did. She came out and said it. Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Francis, I think, who said the fifth photo was real.
Yeah. And you know what? I saw a video where her daughter and her granddaughter, I think Elsie's daughter and granddaughter, were taken because they were the last remaining ones, I think, like the family of today. They're still, but all the old ones are gone, and they took the photos to the Antiques Roadshow. And she They said, "Oh, how'd you get these?" And she went, "Well, I'm Elsie's daughter." And she was an old lady herself at the time. And he said, "Well, these are just like spectacular." He said, "They're just phenomenal." He said, "And such a big part of social history."
Okay, now let me try this.
And at the time, she wasn't interested in selling them. So I'm assuming that the daughter had passed on, and the granddaughter decided to sell them because they went for 20 grand a few years back.
Wow.
Not that I wouldn't sell them from the family, would you?
No, I wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't sell. You'd hand them down, wouldn't you? Or even I'd rather put them in a museum where everybody could look at them. To be honest with you, than just to sell them to somebody who's going to stick them in a drawer or put them in a safe or just keep them to themselves.
Yeah.
That's the one, Eric.
That's the one? Okay.
That's it.
The one. So you can see, if you look, I mean, I don't know how good the guys can see it, but you can see things through them. There's faces in the grass as well. Little faces.
Yeah, they're translucent.
You can see. It's amazing.
Full screen it. Did it cut me out?
No, it's probably going to cut that, isn't it? It's probably just it, Eric, I think.
Oh, okay.
They are
So there's a little
translucent
face there,
pictures.
there's another little one over here somewhere. And that was where they were dancing, or they were moving, or there was some fairy, I don't know, some fairy dance or something they were celebrating, and she took the photo there. So I believe her.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
It's like Bryce says, the Japanese are in touch with their fae more than any other culture. I don't think so. I think the Irish are, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think the Irish are probably more in touch with the fae than anybody.
Do you know, I've been looking at YouTube most of the day, and they call them the Wrath, don't they? The hill forts, and there are 30,000 hill forts, or Wrath that the fairies are supposedly to use in Ireland,
and they won't touch them.
30,000.
Even today, they diverted a road.
They divert roads round them.
10 years, I think it was, because there was a bush, a gorse bush or something, and they said it was fairy. They were going to build this road, and they said, "Are we going through this?" And they went, "No, we're not. We're going to go round it, because if we do go through that, we're going to be in shit." And they actually spent millions extra to move the road over by 10 feet, rather than upset the rough of the fae, you know. Or as they call them.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it today.
They call them the She, which is where you get the Banshee from, because she's a member of the Fae. And yeah, they call them the She, don't they, the Irish? But it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, it's unfortunate, isn't it? It seems to be that people, after the 40s and 50s, when we started to sort of exponentially go forward with scientific advancements, we put the Fae to, oh, well, that's silly now, that's childish things. And it's like we've moved forward and forgotten about it, when really that's the worst thing you can do.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I know England has a couple of fairy glens, actually.
There's still plenty of people over in England, over here, that believe in them completely. There's a big culture of fairy culture over here.
And I know I wrote it down. I just don't remember where.
What was it, Eric?
You sound like me, Eric.
About, I know there's a few of them there. I wrote it down, but I just don't remember where it was. Because obviously it's one of the places out of the thousands that I'm going to go see. So
your list is growing, Eric, isn't it? Your list is growing of where you're going to go. You need two or three more lifetimes, man.
I got this plus about 3 more pages.
Oh, that's interesting, Lorna. Lorna says they've got 2 fairy glens there. Where are you, Lorna? Because Scotland's got a fair amount of the Fae as well. But all of it, it's all ancient land, isn't it?
And,
yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, Emma sighting was in North Devon, and
like Cornwall and Devon is prime, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Lorna. Yeah, Scotland as well. There you go.
Yeah,
not surprising. It's the sort of places you would expect to find them, isn't it?
How come they're not popping up on the screen tonight so I can see them?
Oh, because we're not.
Eric.
You can all get blended on me, huh?
Oh, there we are. There we go. I'd like to know who's watching. Hi,
Oh,
Lorna.
what's that? You tie a piece of rag to a tree and make a wish, then throw the coin in the stream. Yeah, that's a very old pagan thing. That is.
Yeah.
I still do that.
Do you know in
Hi,
when I
Richard.
lived in Devon, you'd go around the corner out because obviously it's not heavily built on like this part of the country. Quite, you know, lot of countryside, and you walk around a corner and you'd find a tree with a hawthorn tree, all tied with little rags on it and
Yeah,
little offerings, and
yeah.
they're there.
It's a
These
massive
people,
culture of the
like
Fae
you
up
said,
there, isn't there?
Dan, these people are still out there. You know, proper
Yeah,
pagan people.
yeah. Well, you've got it in
Uh,
Glastonbury as well, haven't you? There's trees there that are sort of,
oh
prayer
God,
trees that
yeah,
they.
wish trees. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I love them trees. I always hang like a piece of,
yeah.
piece of ribbon on them or whatever. There.
And wishing wells, and
Wishing
they're all
wells.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's a big thing up the north, isn't it? Particularly in Derbyshire and place. They have well dressing, don't they? And the well
Yeah,
dressing is like an offering to the spirits, isn't it? The water spirits.
yeah.
Or the what they call, I can't remember what they're called now, not the undines. Oh, it'll come to me later. But yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting.
Come up with a.
I mean, I've not, as far as I know. Well, I had an experience years ago that threw me through a loop, and at the time I was only a kid, and I kind of knew what I was seeing, but I didn't really. It didn't throw me. But it's something that stuck with me. Yeah, there you go. Briar's got one there in with offerings on it. Yeah, I'll do. There you go. Briar's got that. Oh,
Yeah, sorry,
that's all right. There you go. We have a tree near me with offerings. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. You've only got to look and you'll find them. I love the Fae. Absolutely love it. It's one of those things that ever since I was a kid, it sort of enamored me. It really, the thought that there were small little magical beings out there that lived in the woods and had spirits of nature. And it just, I don't know, it sort of spoke to me. Like it does a lot of people, I guess.
Have you had a sighting yourself, Dan?
No, I've not been blessed enough.
No.
To be not for that. I mean, I saw something once. I saw something once when I was a kid, but I never speak about it because if I did, people would think I was They think I was mental. So I never speak about it. And it's one thing I told my daughter. She's the only person I've ever told. And I told her that when she was younger. And even now, I'm not sure she believes it now, but she thinks I'm joking, but I'm not. What I saw was of the Fae, but it wasn't a being as such. It wasn't a person.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was something entirely different. But I remember looking at it as a kid, and I was down in the woods with my friends, and it was an old bomb crater, believe it or not, but it was out in the woodland. And we used to go down into it, and then up around it, there was all sort of, it was a big dip, and there was trees in it where they'd grown over the years, bushes and what have you. And up the top, there was trees as well. And there was one particular tree, which was, I don't know, something about this tree. And I remember looking up at it and seeing this thing under it and thinking, we're not thinking anything at the time, just thinking, oh, it's one of them, is it? Or it's like, because you don't as a kid. But then when you come away and you get older, you think, actually, yeah, what I saw there, now I know what it is, or know what I've got an idea what it is phenomenal. Yeah. It is ridicule because the thing that I saw is so mythological that it people just, I mean, even, I don't know, people would have a hard time swallowing it. And I can understand that. I can understand that.
You're dead right, Lorna.
Again, one of my favorite shows, and I'm going to say it constantly because I watch it constantly, is Paranormal Caught on Camera.
You love that, don't you, Eric?
You love that, Eric.
He loves it.
Bournemouth, England. There was a fairy spotted by a guy and his two little kids, a boy and a girl, and they got a video of it.
Really?
Yep. And it looked like a dragonfly at first, and he zoomed in on it. Then all of a sudden, it flew off the tree, turned around, and it had head, arms, and legs.
They're definitely there. Without a doubt, they're definitely there.
Yeah.
It's. I think we become so arrogant. The human race becomes so arrogant Not everybody, because there's still a lot of good people out there that believe in them and dedicate themselves to them, and believe in them wholeheartedly. But I think we become so ignorant and cynical that we've closed ourselves off from. We're seeing less of what we should. Hi, William Suddy. I hope you're doing well, my friend.
Hey, William.
Wife. Hope the world's treating you
good.
Think about history for a second, okay? All these stories were done by word of mouth all through the centuries until people started getting cameras and stuff like that to show you that they could actually exist. But they had to have always exist throughout time because it's all been documented by word of mouth stories.
Yeah. They spoke about them for centuries. For hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, they've always alluded to the Fae and spoke about them. And the fact that you can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years built on the idea that these are real things, and then turn around and say, within 20 years, no, they don't exist. Nobody believes them anymore. Very few people do. Although I think more people do than they would let on. And there are probably quite a lot out there that believe in them. But because people have moved away from it, they've pulled a shutter up or down. So they can't any longer see what's right in front of them. It's like the whole ghost thing, isn't it? When you get, I remember having experiences and seeing not a lot, one or two things as a kid. One was the full body apparition, and right in my room, right to right in front of me, with about 5 to 7 feet away. Yeah. And I remember seeing him, and it's just. But as you get older, when I got a little bit older, those little things cease to happen. It's like you hit an age where, I don't know, I suppose cynicism comes in, doesn't it? And that, but
you get people saying, "Oh, that's not real," or you get a little older, your parents say, "Ah, that doesn't exist." Then you're like, "Okay, well, maybe it doesn't then."
Yeah. There's a place in Scotland called Findhorn, which is they wrote a book on it. I have the book somewhere. I might still have it somewhere. It's a very good book if you can get hold of it. It was quite cheap, and it did. It did, Brian. It threatened us, didn't it? With with Christianity to move away from it. We were threatened. With it. It was like people were threatened to lose their lands and their living and their livelihood, and if you at certain periods you were threatened as a witch. Findhorn, that's it, Lorna. And they was sort of people there that they believe that the Fae and that helped them there. It's a very interesting thing. They set up like a community there and that. It's very interesting. But it'd be interesting now to see a community. I guess the closest you could probably get to a whole community would be somewhere like Tintagel and that, where there's a big community down there that believe in the Fae and stuff like that, isn't there? And as you say, the West Country, really. Harvest Festival, exactly.
Yeah, and then you got to wonder, with the population growing so much, that are these things hiding, even further back into the forest, or, back into the mountains where no one goes,
Well, we've done it with animals, didn't we? We encroached on their land so much to the point that they feared us, and they moved away into the cold, inhospitable places where we couldn't get to them anymore.
Yeah.
And the prime example is when they had the lockdown and the humans were hardly about, and all the animals, it was like a Disney movie. There's bloody deer out the back, and do you know what I mean? Foxes running around, and it was like, and badgers coming out. And to me, I thought, this is beautiful. This is absolutely fantastic, But it's people seem to have lost their connection with nature. Yeah. And I think that's a dangerous thing, because I think if you've lost your connection with nature, you're an empty shell.
God.
Hi, Kelly.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
I hope you're well. Yeah. And it's like, where do you go? Yeah. Old, because they're old communities, aren't they? And that's the thing. It'll be interesting to see in a few years where people stand on it as well, as we go further along. Good. We'll go further along. Will people become more detached from it? I'm sure they will.
I don't know.
Screens are, I moan about myself, but I use one. They're things like tablets and
That's the
computers and
thing.
laptops and
We all, well, we do like it, and with this, what we've got tonight, it's a good thing in some respects, isn't it? But
it is.
not to be
Yeah, they're cute. Got a
overused.
couple of them here.
Not to be overused.
That's the thing, and if it's the thing is, oh, I'm sorry, Kelly. Bless you, bless him. Oh, I'm sorry. Hope you're all right.
Kelly, sorry.
Bless him. Bless you all.
But yeah, I mean, just going off of the Fae and stuff like that, I was amazed when I was doing my research for the places I want to go see. There's a whole island of wallabies, wild wallabies.
Where was this?
In England. I don't know exactly where. I said somewhere, but it was really weird.
Oh, we got what? Yeah, they're wallabies. They escaped from. I can't think which zoo it is. One of the big Woburn, I think it was. Somebody thought it'd be an idea of having free range, and then they're everywhere.
Yeah, there's a colony in the Peak District.
Yeah,
of wallabies.
There's one in Beds, I think, somewhere.
Whipsonade.
It's only round the zoo, it's not massive.
Yeah, they got out of Whipsonade Zoo.
Whipsonade, yeah.
There's a few around that way, yeah.
Things a lot.
But I don't know of any islands, Eric. No.
I think it was that. What did you say, Dad?
We've got red squirrels on a couple of islands, on Brownsea and the Isle of Wight. I think there's a few red squirrels.
I can go on here because I saved it on my somewhere. Saved.
Me and my mate once had a load of squirrel monkeys escape into the woods of Hertfordshire.
The Isle of Man.
Bastards they were. They were cute, but my God, they were bastards.
The Isle of Man is where they were.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'll show you. Well, he had a run-in with it. It was completely blind. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yeah. Bloody hell, I wouldn't want to be going on the bloody doing a TT round there and one of them steps out in front of you.
No, right? I mean, you got to imagine they're kind of like a small kangaroo, so they would kick you if they, came up to you.
Lorna says, Lorna says, I thought you were. Lorna says,
let me do it.
Lorna, if you were doing it, I wouldn't need to. Lorna says, I thought you were cracking up there, Eric, with the wallabies, but nope, you were right.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Angus, he does have red squirrel. Love red squirrels.
Yeah, you're right, Annette. Yeah.
The grey ones, when they're I like the grey squirrels, but they should be in America. While they're over here, they're bastards.
Yeah, North America, yeah.
There's a roundabout
in Grimsby. There's a colony of black rabbit. That's cool.
Wow. You guys have black squirrels?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not many I've seen, but yeah.
We've got an albino squirrel around here, around this area.
Cool. That's cool.
We've got a bit away from the Cottonley Fairies, haven't we?
Well, yeah, we always do. Hiya, Bobby. Yeah, so I mean, it was. I think that it's a story that is. I'm glad they did it because I think it keeps the idea of fairies alive. And of course, with that last photo and them declaring that was real.
Yeah,
and it was. I think
what wonderful ladies they were.
And I think that's something that we need to avoid getting away from is start telling more stories about fairies, ghosts.
I think it's all right as long as we stay on the Fae and we incorporate it. But what we talk about wallabies is not really we want to do.
No.
Bloody hell. Anyway, no moose talk, no wallaby talk, nothing anymore. Let's just talk about the Cottingley fairies.
Okay.
I don't know who owns that house today, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind owning it. I wouldn't mind owning it. It's interesting because somebody did a comparison the other day. I was watching them online, and the one where the girl, one of them, I can't remember which one it was got the fairy. There's a metal pole behind her, like a handrail, and they went down there last year, and that pole's still there, which is where the hand pole's still there, where she'd set the fairy up. Pretty cool.
Bloody hell!
There's a lot of areas around here, Brian, that are still magical. I can't say the names. Big
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Have you seen a full bull moose? Oh,
yeah.
But-
Our country's amazing, you know. We've got the diversity of it all changes from one end to the other, doesn't
It
it?
does. It
You've
does.
got,
Just completely.
Yeah, we've got everything here. Forests and mountains and
I know they were
Yes.
talking the other day, which it concerns me a bit and it frightens me a bit. They're talking about building on the green belt.
oh, really?
But they've been building on
Uh-huh.
the green belt anyway. Let's be honest, they've been building on it anyway, haven't they? But they're talking about now
Oh,
taking a
God,
big chunk
yeah,
of
yeah.
it and putting 2 million houses on it. And you think, jeez, like, you know, don't do that, man. Don't do that because, you know,
Then you're taking away all that nature stuff. And the island, like Eric said,
well, it's not
is-
sustainable. It's going to
Yeah.
look like a prison ship. If they stick
Yep.
houses everywhere, it's going to look like a prison ship.
and you still got beautiful villages that have like the houses still remaining from way back when.
Oh,
Trouble is,
God,
they pull
yeah,
that
yeah,
down.
yeah.
They pull all
Yeah.
that down, and they're going to pull down a lot of the environment for the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
You
My
know?
favourite place was Clovelly, where I lived. That was a wonderful place to live.
Beautiful, beautiful, yeah.
But
Do
you
wish you were
know,
back there?
oh yeah, I put a story up today actually about the stone tape theory, where I lived around that area on my Facebook, and it's an amazing place, Devon.
It
for the
is.
Fae
It
and-
is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a very
Yeah.
magical, mystical.
You
And of course,
know,
things like Cornwall, that is still Celtic, aren't they?
yeah,
They're Celtic.
yeah. It's not so populated as up here.
No.
But you know, there's only actually, if you look into it,
Right.
if you Google it, there's only 8% of the England, well, the UK, that is urbanised.
Yeah.
8%,
Yeah.
only 8%. The rest is countryside.
It's like America.
I know
isn't it?
I know it's unbelievable, but
It's
if
like
you
America,
add
though.
it
You
all
go to
together, that's what
you
it
go to
is.
America, and you think it's nothing but one big urbanisation. 95% of it is clear. 95%
Yeah.
of it is open land.
Yeah,
It's like, you know, is countryside and woods and
Yeah.
mountains and forests.
And
And,
not only that, just ruined places that are just nature is just taking over again. So it's
It
really
needs
nice.
to. So Nicola's got a message to you here, Brian.
Mm.
Tim, rather.
Oh, thanks, Nicola. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw it
I'll
too.
have,
It
to
was
have
a
a look.
good
I'll have to have a
post.
look at that. I didn't see it. I should have to have a butcher's look at that.
Do you know, I think a lot of the stone tape theory, you guys know what this is, obviously.
Mhm.
But for anyone who doesn't know, it's where it's called the stone tape theory, and it's a phenomenon where walls and things like that can take on memories and sound waves of things, history from past, and echo them out years later. And I'm quite a big believer in this.
Yeah, I think it. I like the idea that, I mean, and it's quite probable if you think that recording tape has got silicone in it, and sand is obviously silicone, and building materials are made out of sand like bricks, and so each brick has got a silicone in it, so therefore it will have crystals in it. So if
Yeah,
it's got crystals in it, and we know that crystals are recorders,
Yep.
and of
Yeah.
course what it does is it becomes place memory, doesn't it? If anything drastic happens, absorbed
exactly.
into the environment, and then when the environment's right, it plays it back.
You put it much more better than me there, Dan. Yeah,
It's intrigued. It's like you. It's intrigued me. I think
exactly
It's-
right.
it intrigues me. You know.
You know, you get the
Are
you
you
get the
brothers?
you know you get the timing and everything right, and it's going to come out. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is why, isn't it? A lot of people say, "Oh, you know what? It's great when there's a lot of energy about when there's an electrical storm, because the electrical storm, what that does, it gives energy to the spirits." You think, yeah, but it could also trip a playback. A
Yeah.
lot of that could trip playbacks. You know.
Yeah.
Which is why when people say, "Well, I saw, but she didn't look at me," or "He didn't look at me," he just walked across the room and went out. You know,
It's
obviously
recording.
it's different than when people say that person stood there and they just looked at me. And that's
Yeah.
an intelligent haunting, isn't it? When it's actually acknowledging that you're there.
yeah,
But beyond that, yeah, I can't see why that couldn't be a thing.
yeah.
I like the old
The
stone.
recording. Yeah,
You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
like the megaliths, isn't it? I mean, that stone, they clearly knew what they were doing with the megaliths,
Oh, yeah,
like, prehistory, and the whole thing. They've got crystal in them, they've got, silicone in them, they've got everything. And people say, "Well, I feel the energy from the stones." Well, yeah, because they're living things.
Mm. They are.
Hi, Charles. Great to see you.
Hi,
buddy.
Charles.
Hope you're doing well. Lovely. Don't worry.
Nice to see you, mate.
It's lovely to have you here. So yeah, but yeah, it's intriguing. There's so much. I mean, getting back to the Fae and stuff, there's so much about this world that we just haven't got. We like to think we have, and we like to. It's all supposition, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
We don't really know.
And then you gotta,
No.
and then you got to think of what counts as fae, though. Like, is everything that you see, like, except for ghost fae, like Bigfoot, Dogman, going all the way down,
Well, people say, I mean, I don't believe in that. Don't believe in ghosts. Don't believe in the Fae because it's not reality. And you think, well, what's reality?
Yeah.
It's vibrations, isn't it? And vibrations are want to change. And at the end of the day, my reality might not be the same as yours.
No.
For simple things like I might look at the color green and see it a different way that you do. But to you, that'll be green. To me, that'll be green. But it'll be two different colors that we perceive. Nobody knows that. And that's what annoys when people say, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't believe in them because they're not real." But I always say to people, but think about it. You're sitting here today talking to me. We're having a conversation with each other. We're engaging with each other. We got friends, we got family, we got loved ones, we got people that we deal with every day. We go out, we talk, we converse. The fact that we're here, there's nothing more extraordinary than that. So how can it be such a leap to think that the Fae or ghosts are ridiculous? It can't be, can it? The fact we're here is the most incredible thing.
Yep.
And we don't know. We don't know. We've got no idea what's going on beyond us. I don't think.
No.
If you listen to any credible scientist, they're going to tell you the exact same thing I'm going to tell you. Time and reality do not exist.
No. Well, that's the thing. I'd like to live in this period and at that period, and I was born that. But the thing is, if you take time, it's a theory, isn't it? And if you take, I lived in a UFO capital of the northeast. The mountain I lived on is natural quartz sandstone conglomerate. The aliens can't mine it. Yeah, we don't know what they. Yeah, there could be lots more. Even the American military did I watched a video on it. Is it back from the sort of 50s and 60s? And they were talking about there was a general there, and he was talking about experiments that they'd done with crystal quartz. And he said this, and this is the American military back in the 50s and 60s. This is an intelligent thing. This creates its own vibration, he said. So this can create its own reality. Like that's the American government talking about crystals as sentient.
And remote viewing.
And remote viewing. They did. The American government were big on that.
Do you know that has got a remote viewing? That is one of the most fascinating subjects.
I love that subject. And you know why I love that subject? Because I know someone that does it. And I know someone that worked for the military here in America that does it. And she was just called back.
The hits they've had with that. The American military have had amazing hits with that.
How, that is just mind blowing.
It is, Lorna. It is. So you take all that into consideration, then, nothing is beyond. Wasn't it? It was Einstein who said, no matter how ridiculous, preposterous an idea is, in fact, the more ridiculous and preposterous, the more chance have you got it of being a truth.
Yeah.
I think most governments do, don't they, bro? I would think.
Yeah. And like I said before, he's one of the scientists that said that time and reality don't exist. It's a man-made concept.
It doesn't. It's a concept, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. If you take different periods of time and you take different, all of it, and you put it outside of time and space, it all exists at one. It all exists at one time, or in one concept. It all exists in one thing. So you can't. There is no timeline.
Yep, everything exists at once.
Yeah, a lot of people. Do you know what, Charles? I've seen a lot of people have said that with NDEs that you step outside, which is true. You're stepping outside of it.
Yep. And then why you get time slips, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's exactly, I think, why you get time slips.
In fact, that's the next study I'm going to be doing is diving into time slips. I've really gotten interested in that.
But there are even people that have fell through the gap. I'll hear about that, Charles. There are people that have fell through the gaps of reality, aren't they? That they've ended up in a place. They've ended up here in our timeline, in our reality, but they've said they started off in a different one.
Yeah.
Have you seen those? Yeah, have you seen those stories?
Yeah.
There's a couple
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
It's amazing, really. And I can see that happening. I can see people falling through. I mean, you know what? When you think about the amount of people that go missing every year and are never found,
That's not the same thing, Brian.
Nice and Brian.
Friday night.
I will be looking into it for the rest of this weekend and doing some. It's going to be a constant thing, especially when I get over there.
I see you were looking at buildings today, possibly. Don't go near the witches thing.
Yeah,
It's a dead duck, mate. Although some of these natural rocks and conglomerates can act as hard drives. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we were saying. Yes.
Yeah, stone tape again. You go straight back to the stone tape theory.
Yeah,
it's just
That's too goofy.
But no, it's interesting, isn't it? And people that say they can't believe in the Fae and that, and the Cottony theories, I mean, it just resounds with me, and it really does. I still find it.
Oh, I know. It's a fabulous story.
We'll take a drive out there, Tim, and we'll meet up with Bri.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I would love to go.
Yes, it's right here.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
We'll meet up with Bri. That'd be nice.
So many places I'd like to go to.
Loads of them, mate. Loads of them.
That's why I've been writing them down.
Right. So we're coming to the end on this one, really. Got sort of 9 minutes. But I'm going to throw the open doors open to one of you two to pick one for next week. Have either of you thought of anything?
Yeah, I can go with one if you'd like.
You go with it then.
Hang on, let me tell you. I've got some notes here.
Eric, you got the week after, bud. Is that all right?
Yeah, Eric.
Pick the week after. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Where's it gone? I've got a choice of two. Now it's the fairy coffins of Edinburgh.
Right, Nicola. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's
an
interesting
What's
one.
that say? Spot on, Dan. Remember
that's
the story,
right. Yeah,
man.
that was he'd gone. He'd gone. The same with the fella in Ireland. He just disappeared, didn't he? Recently.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the fairy coffins of Edinburgh.
That sounds good. That's an interesting one. That is
next week.
That's an interesting one.
So Low, if you're watching, that's where Low
right,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that one. Yeah,
I was also looking at one near you, Eric, called the Waikato Gnomes in Winconstant. I can't even speak.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, the Waikato Gnomes. Have you heard of those?
I have never heard of those.
Dry
Road, but
yeah, look it up, mate. Waikato Gnomes in Winconssin. That was a big thing back in the day, apparently. But there we go. We're going to be looking at the fairy coffins of Edinburgh.
That's an interesting one. That
next week.
It's an interesting one. That I'll let you introduce that one.
It's to do with serial killers and spiritual offerings and witchcraft.
Oh wow,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so a bit sort of.
Edinburgh is amazing, Lorna. I love Edinburgh.
My
favourite, one of my favourite cities. Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to go to the vaults. I would love to go to the vaults.
I've been there. It's cool. I've been there. I was lucky enough. Do you know what? I was lucky enough to get in on the arse end of an investigation because somebody fell out and somebody said, "Oh, do you want to come along?" And I got it cheap as well because it was a last ditch effort. And the guy and he couldn't make it. And I got up and we did Edinburgh vaults over a weekend, but we also did Mary King's Close.
Yeah,
but it was lucky. It was like it wasn't one I'd even realised I was going on until I was offered it at the last minute. And I thought I had to go work, and I thought, oh no, you know what, bollocks to work. I want to go. I want to do this. So I went and did that. Excellent, Nicola.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Nicola.
so it'll be so you guys out there, what is it again, Tim, you've got for next week?
It's the Fairy Coffins of Edinburgh,
There you go. So do your history
which was
on
in
that, come back and see what you think.
1836. It all kicks off.
There you go. Come back next
And
week
then-
and we will have a look at that and we'll put that out there. And then Eric's going to pick one for the week after, Eric.
Yeah, I'll pick one for the week after.
Cool.
And then Monday you have the Dark Mirror
Thanks,
Boys.
Charles.
Tuesday you have me, Dan, Vivian again, and possibly Mark and Jamie if they want to come on.
Yeah.
Forgot what it was now. Oh, the SS Message versus the Gangsfield experiment.
Yes, that's an interesting one.
And
That's an
then
interesting one.
I don't know what Vivian has for Wednesday. And
I
then
think it might be
Thursday-
just us lot chatting rubbish again, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
probably.
And then Thursday we're back with the Fairy Coffins of Edinburgh, which is exciting actually. So
Yeah.
everybody who's in the chat, if you want to listen in on that, buff yourselves up, do your homework, and come in and join in the chat with
Yeah.
us.
Come and join the chat with us, and
But
you'll
you know
find some
what?
information that we.
I was lucky as well, Nick Lorna. I was so lucky to get in there.
Yeah. Why is it
Sorry,
not
what were you saying, Tim? Sorry.
I was just saying it's something that we can look back on, and quite an interesting story, I think, to do with
Yeah.
serial killers, maybe witchcraft,
Yeah.
and if
yeah,
the
yeah,
viewers
all of
want to do their own SWOT, and then we can take it from there, can't we? So
that. Perfect.
interesting.
Perfect, mate. Perfect.
Mm.
So you've done a rundown on who's on next week, Eric, haven't you?
Yep.
Thanks for that. So you guys know what's on during the upcoming week. And Friday, tomorrow night, I believe Bright and
Yeah,
Nettie and Ian are on, aren't they?
Yep.
Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, is it?
Yeah, I think so. And Brian, if you're still there, let me tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah, what you're talking about. And then, yeah, it was because I enjoyed last week's chat. It was good last
Yeah,
week.
it was really good.
So if you guys are around tomorrow, definitely join in with Brian because Brian, Nettie, and Ian, because it's a Freaky Friday. There you go. Because it was really good last week. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it's good. It's good, really good. As is the Dark Mirror Boys. So yeah, get in for them on Monday as well. And we will speak to you. Well, I'll speak to you next week.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks
Good
for
night,
joining us.
everybody. Thanks, Guy.
All right.
Thanks, Guy.